It was 12 July 2008. A bustling street in South Jakarta near Ragunan Zoo, where the air was filled with thick south of traffic and chatters of people, was like any other day in Jalan Kebagusan Raya, unaware of the darkness that lay in silence. A sudden woman's scream pierces the air. The once bustling street falls into a haunting, uneasy silence. At a corner of the street lay a blood-dripping luggage. The Indonesian police were promptly summoned. To the horrifying discovery, the Indonesian forensics team was swiftly called to the scene, and the analysis of the luggage began immediately. Opening the luggage, they found body parts, gruesomely chopped into small pieces, and were skewered using a crowbar. The Indonesian forensics officers completed their analysis, packed up their equipment, and returned to their headquarters for further laboratory testing. The forensic team's analysis, together with the Indonesian police investigation, revealed that the body belonged to 40-year-old Heri Santoso, a manager at a reputable company. During the initial investigation, the Indonesian police had no immediate leads on the murder. However, the officers diligently tracked the suspect's mobile number, monitored bank accounts, and kept a lookout for Heri Santoso's vehicle. Their persistence paid off after 2 days when Heri Santoso's bank contacted the officers to report a withdrawal of 6 million rupiah made using his ATM card. After the bank provided an image of the suspect withdrawing cash with Heri Santoso's ATM card, the police launched a meticulous investigation. At last, the long-awaited breakthrough in the case had arrived, shattering the silence with a glimmer. After identifying the suspect and gathering all the details, the police sprang into action. Wasting no time, they were determined to apprehend the suspect immediately, their urgency fueled by the gravity of the case. Trailing the suspect, the Indonesian police arrived at the residence in the Margonda area of Depok, West Java, almost 15 kilometers from where the body was found. With each step, they inched closer, their movements deliberate and silent, as they confirmed the suspect's presence inside. The tension was palpable, every moment charged with the anticipation of what lay ahead. The police stormed into the apartment with swift, unrelenting force, their heavy boots echoing through the room as they moved with precision and purpose. Amid some shouting and a brief struggle, the officers finally managed to arrest the suspect on 15 July 2008. Despite the tension, the operation concluded without any bloodshed or injuries. The suspect was escorted back to the police headquarters. During the initial interrogation with the police, Ryan never denied his actions. Following a 6-day interrogation, Ryan calmly admitted to killing and mutilating the body of his close friend, Heri Santoso, on 11 July 2008, 1 day before the body was found. Just as the case was nearing a resolution, the investigation took a chilling turn. When Ryan made an even more unimaginable confession, leaving the officers stunned. What did Ryan confess to? It was something that would haunt those who listened, a chilling testament to the capacity for human cruelty. Ryan was born in the quiet village of Jombang, East Java, in 1978. He grew up like any other child, playful and full of dreams, chasing the golden glow of possibilities that danced on the horizon. His laughter echoed through the rice fields, and his eyes sparkled with the innocence of youth, believing he could one day achieve great things. But life has a way of twisting even the brightest dreams into nightmares. Little did Ryan know, the gentle hands of fate would soon twist and corrupt his path, transforming him into something unrecognizable. Forever haunted by the darkness he could not escape. The walls of his childhood home seemed to tremble under the weight of his parents' relentless arguments. Their voices clashed like thunder, echoing day after day, in a storm that never ceased until finally the inevitable happened. The fragile bond that held them together shattered, leading to a bitter divorce that left scars deeper than anyone could see. Often engulfed by the shadows of loneliness and starved of love, he drifted aimlessly through his youth. As if that weren't enough, his mother herself harbored a dark secret, tangled in an affair with her daughter's husband, a middle-aged policeman sworn to protect, but now caught in a web of deception and forbidden desires. The family's foundations crumbled, each revelation more devastating than the last, turning his once innocent world into a twisted theater of betrayal and broken trust. At a very young age, as early as 13, Ryan often experienced intense feelings of wanting to kill his parents. When he was 15, he was forced to abandon his education, dreams shattered under crushing weight of financial struggle. With no support to keep him afloat, he walked away from school, leaving behind a future that once held so much promise, now slip. With a storm of burning agony raging within, Ryan wrestled with a whirlwind of confusion and inner turmoil. His heart and mind were at war as questions about relationships and his own identity gnawed relentlessly at his soul. Amid the chaos, he found himself confronting and grappling with feelings of homosexuality, emotions that ignited a struggle he had never anticipated, yet could no longer ignore. In a community where the weight of tradition and religious beliefs left little room for acceptance, Ryan's struggle with his identity was met with harsh resistance. His mother, desperate to erase what she could not understand, pushed him relentlessly into the path of an Islamic religious teacher. She clung to the hope that immersing him in faith and discipline might change his ways, that the teachings he would deliver could somehow cleanse the conflict within his soul. But beneath the surface, the battle for acceptance and identity raged on, more turbulent than ever. Conflict between his religious beliefs and his sexuality often led to extreme frustration, especially when he was unable to fulfill his sexual desires. Little did those around him, or even Ryan himself, knew that beneath the surface, an unrecognizable force was taking shape, a darkness so profound and unimaginable that it would leave the world around forever changed. In the sterile, tension-filled interrogation room, Ryan's confession dropped like a thunderbolt. With an unsettling calmness, he confessed to multiple killings, his victims buried in the garden behind his parents' home. In Dusun, Mejo Kampung, Jatiwats, village, Tembelang, Jombang, East Java. The words echoed through the room, leaving the police stunned, their disbelief palpable. But there was no time to waste. Shock turned swiftly to action as they urgently activated a team to race to the scene. Shovels in hand, ready to unearth the dark truths hidden beneath the soil. Upon arriving at Ryan's parents' house in Jombang on 22 July 2008, the police wasted no time. With shovels in hand and a sense of urgency hanging thick in the air, they began to dig in the backyard. Each thrust of the spade into the earth was heavy with tension, the silent anticipation almost deafening. The truth, long buried beneath layers of soil, was about to be unearthed, and no one could predict the horrors that awaited them. After what felt like an eternity of digging, the police officers stood frozen, their faces pale with shock. One by one, they unearthed 4 lifeless bodies, each bearing the marks of a death so gruesome that words failed them. With a heavy sense of duty and somber determination, the paramedics carefully loaded the shrouded body into the ambulance. This journey was for answers that lay hidden beneath the lifeless form, waiting for the autopsy to reveal the grim truth. The autopsy doctors moved with swift precision, their gloved hands expertly performing the grim task. Finally, after hours of meticulous examination, the reports were ready. The answers they contained would send ripples through the investigation, changing everything in an instant. After reading the report, the officer knew that they were not dealing with an ordinary killer. This was someone far more terrifying. Ryan was devoid of mercy, stripped of any shred of humanity. A heartless predator driven by an insatiable rage, with evil coursing through his very veins. The blood-stained details painted a portrait of a monster, born of darkness and unrelenting cruelty. The constant battle to control his sexuality left frustrations simmering beneath the surface, threatening to consume him. The reality of his religion condemning his very identity only deepened the wound, while the cruel taunts and ridicule from those around him cut him to the core. The pain was relentless, a heavy ache that never eased. He longed desperately to break free, to live without shame. He made the decision to step away from his role as a religious teacher. Ryan embarked on a bold journey, chasing his dream of becoming a model. With each pose and stride, he transformed, embracing the spotlight and redefining himself with unwavering determination. Alongside his modeling, Ryan took on a new role at the gym, transforming into a dedicated trainer. With every session, he pushed himself and others, channeling his passion and drive into this new pursuit. He began slipping into the shadows of an underground homosexual club, searching for a love that could finally quench his hidden desires. And that's how he met his first victim, Agustinus Fitri Setiawan, 28, on Sept 2006. Their connection was instant, their bond deepening quickly as they mingled effortlessly, unaware of the dark fate that awaited. Ryan invited 28-year-old Agustinus Fitri Setiawan to his parents' home, driven by the hope of an intimate encounter. Desire burned within him, and he believed this meeting might fulfill his deepest cravings. After a long, warm chat, Ryan's desire sparked to life. Thinking Augustinus will give in to him, he made his move, driven by a sudden, undeniable urge. Ryan leaned in to hug and kiss Augustinus, but Augustinus pushed him away instantly, before turning and rushing to the toilet. Feeling utterly rejected and humiliated, a burning agony consumed him, twisting his soul with darkness. His pain festered, transforming him into something sinister, into a devil. In his mind, a deadly plan began to take shape, each thought more vengeful than the last. As Augustinus stepped out of the toilet, Ryan burst in from another door, rage burning in his eyes. Without warning, he swung the crowbar at Augustinus's head repeatedly, each blow more brutal than the last. Augustinus crumpled to the floor, lifeless. Then, Ryan committed the most unthinkable, devilish deed, crossing a line from which there was no return. He grabbed the crowbar and pried the anus of the deceased with fierce, unrelenting force. Some sources say that he could have sodomized the victim after death and used the crowbar to pry the victim's anus, a way to destroy his semen left inside. This added another layer of horror to the already gruesome scene. To hide his wicked acts further, he burned the victim's body and buried the remains in the backyard of his parents' home. After identifying the 4 bodies found at Ryan's parents' home, police found a connection in the case. All 4 victims had been reported missing at different times between 2006 and 2007. The police gathered more missing cases between 2006-2008 from Jombang, as they couldn't shake the suspicion of these cases. They might be connected to Ryan, too. After gathering all the crucial evidence, the Indonesian police summoned Ryan for interrogation once again on July 27, 2008. This time, the questioning was even more intense. But Ryan, without a flicker of fear, didn't move an inch. With an evil smile, Ryan sat in silence. Without hesitation, on 28 July 2008, the officers rushed back to Ryan's parents' home and began digging every inch of the backyard. 6 more bodies were unearthed this time, sending a wave of shock across the entire nation. The discovery was horrifying, and the most heart-wrenching detail among them was a tiny, lifeless form of a 3-year-old girl. After relentless investigations, the Indonesian police finally identified all 10 victims found at his home. Among them were a mother, 28-year-old Nana Kristanti, and her daughter, 3-year-old Sylvia Ramadhani, missing since late 2007. Furious after discovering the body of the little girl, the investigators were determined to see Ryan receive the maximum sentence. Their interrogation intensified, relentless and unforgiving. A fearful Ryan began confessing to his crimes, one by one. He claimed he was the real victim, driven to kill only out of rage when all of the deceased exploited his sexuality and crossed the line. He insisted he was just searching for love, but instead, he was used and betrayed. Even Augustinus had forced himself on Ryan, leaving him feeling so disgusted that he was compelled to kill him. The officers knew this heartless, merciless killer was lying and was trying to play the victim. Yet, they had no evidence to challenge his twisted story. A senior officer leaned in, voice cutting through the tension, and asked Ryan if he knew betrayal always awaited. Why did he keep inviting people to his parents' home, leading to the merciless deaths of 10? And how did a 3-year-old child exploit him? He stared down, silent, with no answers for the first question. Then, he slowly looked up. He explained. Nanik Kristanti often visited the gym where Ryan was a trainer. Their frequent encounters quickly forged a powerful bond between them. Ryan claimed that Nanik Kristanti showed up unexpectedly at his home with her 3-year-old daughter. After some time chatting at his home, Ryan claimed that Nanik Kristanti tried to make advances on him. He told her he was homosexual, but she persisted, insisting on making love. The thought filled him with disgust. And it happened again. With a chilling calm, Ryan had to kill the 3-year-old girl because she was the only witness to her mother, Nanik Kristanti's murder. The child's terrified screams echoed in his mind, and out of fear, he silenced her using the same crowbar he used to silence all his victims. The police knew Ryan's stories didn't add up. They suspected the truth about Nanik Kristanti was far different. It may have been the other way around. They were nearly ready to take him to court, but one mystery still haunted them. Why did he kill Harry Santoso, the body found near Ragunan Zoo? Ryan met novel Andreas, whom he found true love in, the main reason he moved to Marganda, West Java. Together, they were happy, and Ryan buried his sins deep, carrying on with daily life as if nothing had happened. Ryan claimed that Harry Santoso, wealthy and arrogant, had offered a car and cash to be intimate with Ryan's love, novel Andreas. The offer cut deep, igniting a fury that led Ryan to plot Harry's final farewell from this world. That very night, Ryan invited Harry Santoso to his apartment. Unaware of the danger, Harry Santoso had no idea Ryan was about to seal his fate. The Indonesian police were certain Ryan's story about Harry Santoso's murder was a lie. They believed the true motive was Harry's wealth and the allure of his money. With the evidence gathered and Ryan's confessions recorded, the investigating officers committed the case to court, ready for justice to be served. Justice for 11 lives lost. The weight of their souls demands retribution, and the truth will echo through these halls until it is served. The court found Ryan mentally stable, branding him a merciless predator driven by greed and lust. He knew exactly what he was doing, and some or almost all of his crimes were premeditated. He lured each of his 10 victims. Out of them, 8 were male and may have been homosexual, including a 24-year-old Dutch national, to his parents' home in Jombang. There, he killed them. Some of the victims mercilessly skewered using a crowbar, burned and buried. Ryan stole their belongings too. On April 6, 2009, Idham Henyansyah, known as Ryan, was sentenced to death by firing squad.